In this video, I got fit for the GT driver, which is Titleist's newest addition. I went back to Tim Wilson, who fit me for my Vokies, and I have that video on my channel if you haven't seen that already. And just like the last video, I learned so much about my swing, how the fitting process works, how changing different variables can get you better results. So I left this video relatively long, so that way you can also gain some of the insights of what Tim is saying, just when I'm asking some questions, and just get a better feel for the overall fitting experience. But if you are pressed for time, I will have a brief recap at the end, and a little TLDR is getting fit is important because it might just be a small change in the loft or the lie angle that will help you better hit the middle of the face, and that will have drastic improvement on your results. And as a result of the fitting, I have a driver that carries further, has higher ball speed numbers, and has a more predictable miss. And guys, if you're worried and you think my swing's not good enough or my swing's going to be going through a lot of changes, so I don't think a fitting is the right time for me, I also am in that same spot right now. And if you didn't know me, my name is Chonger, and I'm an average golfer with the goal of trying to get the scratch. And my swing is going to be evolving, and even in this fitting right now, I had a lot of mishits, which I also left in this video so you can see and how we can adapt those mishits into better looking shots. I do want to say not all fittings are the same. And a few months ago, I was looking for a new driver, and so I got fit for the new Callaway, the TaylorMade, the Cobra. But the results that I was getting was more or less similar to my old driver. So I thought like, ooh, what's the point of even upgrading my driver? I also thought it's probably my swing. I'm just not that consistent. I'm not able to deliver the right swing to get the best results anyway, so what's even the point of upgrading right now? And the truth is, the reason why I wasn't getting the best results is because the fitter wasn't optimizing the driver to my swing. And I still don't have a perfect swing right now, but after this fitting, I have a driver that works with my swing, not against it, and it can constantly shift and evolve as my swing progresses. You just have to find the right driver settings that work for you. So I would definitely recommend going to a fitter that can optimize that for your swing. Don't necessarily just go to the cheap option. Don't get lured in by the free fitting with club purchase. But anyways, enough talk, let's roll the fitting video. Okay, some of our more important numbers, I kind of leave really like the swing stuff, the big ones up top. So the top row there is your club head speed, your ball speed. Right at the very bottom is the relationship. So there's your smash factor. That's how efficient you are. This can be as high as 151. So you're pretty close to kind of max efficiency with this. Carry total. This is all true to what it is right now out there in space. If I normalize this, this just removes kind of some of our variables. So this would be like no wind, 25 degrees. That's how that golf ball would come out. There is your spin rate, your attack. You got a lot of attack angle up, a little bit of path to the left off of where we're aiming, which is pretty much straight out of here, with that post in front of us. We need down the height into this one. So you want to see an apex of feet. You want to probably get your apex, we have 100, so we want to get your apex up to around between 80 and 100 feet. Sure. Probably as a high point of this golf ball kind of getting off there. Okay, let's hit 4 or 5 golf balls with yours and see where that leaves us.
And then we'll start piecing some stuff together.
102.4 turned it into 144 ball, 230 carry, 250 total. Nice try. Nice. Okay, so we're starting to come up with some numbers that we'd like to beat. 101 club head speed is great. 146 ball, we could probably pick up a little bit of ball speed. If you think like just take that relationship 151 smash and put it on 101 mile an hour, we should see like 153 or 4 mile an hour ball speed. If you like cast one in the center. Nice drive, 272. Ball, but that's a closed face, a little bit left, swung a bit harder. 104, 151. Okay, so we get average numbers. You know how TrackMan works. So these little boxes in the bottom are your average numbers. You're starting to move that number up a little bit as you go, your average ball speed. But really the last few hits that you had kind of give us some good numbers to sort of bench off of. I think your biggest one was kind of 270 when you hooked it, but we're looking at kind of around 230-ish carry, and then whatever kind of comes in the back end of it. Ball speed got as high as 152.
but you look like you're settling probably in that like high 40s, low 50s.
Yeah.
Let's put something together. So really the heads that we've got in line now, GT1 is not out yet, so that'll be probably a later edition.
Yeah.
They did that with TSR1 as well, but that's not the driver for you. Mm-hmm. That's a lighter, higher launching, gets the golf ball going a little bit. It's just kind of designed for players with lower swing speed. The ones that we're probably going to get you into is either the 2 or the 3. This year, quite a bit of a change in terms of its design. The 2 and the 3 look a lot closer together than they did in previous generations, and I think that just comes from the tour guys. So there's a lot more tour guys asking for a driver that has a little bit more spin, a little bit higher launch control. So a lot of guys playing the 2, but they didn't want a big footprint and something that looked like a game improvement driver. So when we put these 2 kind of side by side now, when you look at them, they still have kind of classic defining characteristics. The 3 is going to have more of a pear-shaped design, and the 2 is going to have a little bit more of an elongated head, but they're really close in design now, right? They're really quite a bit different than previous generations. So we see a lot of tour support out of the 2 head, which is kind of cool.
They look very sleek.
They're pretty awesome. So we would go to like a regular shaft or a lighter weight shaft if we're looking for more height or spin.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like you need either of those. It looks like you need a little bit of stability just to sort of keep that in there. We don't want to trade too much weight to just bring that speed down, but want to see if we can increase a little bit of output and ball speed.
Sure.
It sounds like we're going to stiff shafts. It sounds like we're going to start probably in kind of our 55, 60 gram shafts. We'll start with our baseline, which is kind of 10C. They've got a 1K, which is the new version of 10C.
Yeah.
I'm going to start you with 2 head. I'm going to start with 9. You said 9s you were kind of getting fit for? Or 10s? We're going to start at 10.
Yeah, sure.
We're going to start at 10 just because they launch a little bit different.
Yeah.
And we'll start in A1 position. So this is a 55 gram blue mid-flight 10C shaft.
Yeah.
Stiff flex, 10 degree, standard weighting in the head. We've got the ability to adjust swing weight out of the head as well in that place. So.
Nice.
Okay, try that one. Okay, we have a little miss it off the bat.
Yeah.
We got some good output from a good miss it.
Yeah.
Probably to be expected. We have a few birthdays between this guy and that guy.
Yeah.
Version of 10C. This is 1K, so it's a little sturdier shaft than last year's, meaning it just has a little bit less torque.
Sure.
Which might be good for you because we're seeing a little bit of like toe and heel misses. So when we get toe and heel, we get lots of gear effect.
Yeah.
So we probably want to either stabilize this or just understand that it's going to get a little bit more rebound off of that mistake. So this is GT3 that we're trying now.
Yeah.
GT3 is more of an internal adjustable weighting system. So where you're most likely to hit the face out of all the drives that you've hit. So you got heat zone there.
Yeah.
So that's what I kind of said is you're standing tall and then you're getting a little bit taller. You're extending your legs.
Yeah.
So it's hard for you to reach the center of the face. You got away with it quite a bit with, say, your other driver. I don't think I have to say it. They work so good off the middle. We got to find the middle.
Yeah.
We're going to move this up a little bit.
Okay.
So make your adjustment just based on that information that that's where you're kind of hitting everything. We want to kind of get you in a spot where you feel like you're almost like pressing into the ground. The heel is a little bit past the golf ball. So then when you do kind of pop, you're hitting it off the center. Shablam. Nice.
That felt like it.
Yeah, that felt like that, right?
Yeah.
So now 102 is 152.5 is 248 is 282. Now we got a real thing here.
Feels good through the middle, but it's also the mishits. How do they handle, right?
That's it. Well, you have to. You're gonna miss hit your driver more than you're gonna absolutely flush it.
Yeah.
So we just want some margin of error. We want something that can kind of help you out. That when you do slightly miss hit it, it's still hanging with you a little bit. Okay, new Denali shaft. This is a new addition to the line this year. Kind of replacing hazardous. So that was kind of in the line for a while, but I hear good things about these shafts.
Looks cool.
Yeah, it does. It kind of defines the head a little bit better when we have kind of that color break.
Feels lighter too.
Yeah. So this is a 50 gram, but a little bit stouter. This is a 6.0, so we're almost into like extra stiff.
Okay.
I think that's going to stabilize your flight and give you a bit more roll. So if we can get the launch conditions up a little bit, then we're going to start to get pretty optimal.
And is launch just because I'm still not getting really in the middle of the...
Yeah, so I'll click on optimizer here and I'll kind of show us. I mean, you got to the same place, but you landed 231 and it ended up 275.
Yeah.
Optimal would be 252 carry, same guy swinging,
Yeah.
same distance, but we spin the ball a little bit higher, launching it kind of at a little less than the loft of the driver,
Yeah.
which is giving us pretty good ball speed, but launching it low, spin rate stays kind of low and the height stays kind of low. So the ball is never really climbing, it might be just a little low on the face. If we get that thing in the center, then we should get some height in that apex. Like the head weight.
I think since it's lighter, the shaft, I can feel the head a bit more.
Yeah, is that a good thing? Do you like that? Does it feel like it's giving you more control or confidence?
I think it just makes me feel like I can swing it faster.
Sure. Which is almost the opposite, and it's proving true. So when we have a heavier head, when we have some heavier swing weight, regardless of the weight of the shaft or the whole thing, you're going to be able to swing the lighter object, the head, slower. Here, give me that teeth, that thing's done. It doesn't have to be that hard, I don't think. Even if you have an 80 gram shaft, typically you should be able to swing the head faster. If I put you in a 30 gram shaft and leave the head weight the same, it'll feel light and lively, but the head will drag because it's heavier in terms of the overall weight of the club. You just load it more.
Okay.
So as much as it feels like it's light and you're going to swing it faster, you're probably going to swing it slower club head speed.
Okay.
Even if you want to move faster with it, we just create more lag. But sometimes that really works nicely to create where, like you said, the feel of where that club head is. And I'll go to this guy over here and go, that can't get our launch up. And if I give you all your averages, that we had a couple right there that were buttoned, and then still a lot of activity, 14 millimeters low.
Okay.
So that to me, Graham, is just this, is that you're starting tall, swinging and pushing, and now you're too tall at the moment of impact.
Yeah.
You want to feel like I can kind of stay loaded and then push to that moment where I almost timed the jump correctly. Yeah. That's closer. Because most of those hits were out on the toe a little bit. That's better. Closer too. It's giving us some like really nice numbers to get after, and I think the last one was almost 290 something.
Yeah.
So it's telling us that you have output to create some pretty great drives. We just have to get the launch windows up a little bit.
How do you go about like the fitting as far as I'm obviously working through my swing, and potentially even like a month from now my swing might not be like this, I guess.
Yeah. It's a great question, because most fitters, I would imagine, would handle it this way. If you were just fitting and I didn't know who you were, you walked in off the street, then I would have to fit to your pattern.
Yeah.
So if you had a pattern that was this, and I just see low, 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 so I gotta try to find higher flights. So I might just go to higher lofted clubs. Or I might maybe give you some insight as to why you're missing the center, but I'm probably gonna fit your swing. And then hand you the tool that works best for that swing. Knowing that you're on a mission to sort of change and adapt a little bit, we want to see like where this guy could kind of go. So I'm looking at your golf swing, and your path and your face arrangement are pretty true to how you deliver the club. So I'm not going to see too much deviation, like you really swung left and down, and now you're going to really swing up and right. So that would be a huge change in the tool. Really what we're looking for is like, can I get you to be a consistent center striker of the golf ball, and are the launch windows correct? So anything we fit you into, I'm looking kind of almost like statically, or like just by number, looking at club head speed and going, this guy's fast enough to be in a stiff shaft. Then I'm looking at the rest of the information and going, okay, what does he need as far as height? Does he need more height? Do we need to go to a shaft that kicks more lower to the head or higher to the head? Where do we go in terms of torque in the shaft? Is he missing it more toe or heel? So I'm trying to narrow down the shaft that probably works best for whoever that guy is on the back end of a year or two of playing golf, not like necessarily just right now. If that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yep. We're going to go back to that 10C, but I'm going to switch the heads, and I'm going to add a little bit of stability out of the toe. So we get a few hooks, we get a few air mails. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the head weight in the GT3. I'm gonna take out. Do you have a preferred shot shape, pattern? Would you prefer to see it go one way or the other?
Well, because before I used to poke the ball a lot.
Yeah.
And now I'm almost like happy if I have a nice little fade or even just a push to the right.
Yeah.
But I think like typically my iron shot and everything is usually a draw.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm fine with a tight draw as long as it doesn't hook.
Yeah, that's I agree. I'm gonna move you into just kind of what you were describing. I'm gonna give you a little assist. GT3 is nice this way, so what I can do is I've put the weight into more of a toe position, and I've added a little bit of weight. So this is now 4 grams heavier. It's a 12-gram weight. I can move it all the way into the toe position, and then it's gonna slow the toe down, so it's gonna really give you some assist on not closing the face. Or I can move it into just a subtle one. We'll kind of start there first. But I'm going to give you a little bit more head weight just because it seems like if I give you that, you have a better feel for where that head is. So we'll leave it in that kind of T2 position. I don't like that shaft for you. It's kicking early. So it's just throwing it down into the ground. You're hitting it in the center, but then you're hitting low now.
Same weight, but just different shaft.
Different shaft. And now we're at a 9-degree head. You have 5 degrees attack angle up at the golf ball.
Yeah.
You have enough to hit this high. I think the loft is getting us in trouble a little bit. So I think you might be able to hit the 9 higher. Yeah, I was right. Because of where you're hitting it on the face, I don't need more loft.
Yeah.
If I add more loft to this, you just hit it more on the bottom. You're swinging 7 degrees up at it. So you're adding enough in attack that the ball should launch high. But because the face has too much loft on it already, you're literally catching it like this.
Yeah.
So I gave you less loft. This is 9, I might make it 8.
Yeah.
Until you level this out. But if you're a guy who attacks up at it, that's great. You can assist the flight, take the spin off. So now I just want you to feel like you're not trying to do so much of that.
Yeah.
Just see if you can, you're gonna hit it up in the air anyways, especially if you got the center. The low flights were not because you were hitting bad shots. It was because it was poor contact. It was just being low in the face. So I think 10 is too much for you. 9 might be high ones. And that's a little bit closer to center. Yeah, ball speed way up. We're at almost 156 ball speed. Adjustable weight port here, kind of MOI, is at the back of the club. So we would adjust weight here. Really, what that does is it changes kind of its performance in terms of height, kind of this way.
Yeah.
GT3 and all the 3 series have always had this internally. So I can move weight more to the heel or the toe. Heel weight allows the toe to speed up. Toe weight allows the toe to slow down or the heel to speed up. So it produces more of a cut pattern here, more slice pattern, more of a draw or hook pattern there. So we can do a little bit more of how the club releases this way, whereas this one we do a little bit more engineering of like height from this one. So we're not engineering how the face opens and closes, more of like, you need more height, we can kind of do it from the back end of this thing, or we can bring down that weighting as well. So guys are leaning on this one because between the 2 heads, this really spins typically a few hundred more RPM. So typically a higher launching club than the GT3. So I'm gonna get you a 2 9-degree and see how that performs.
Okay.
Big shaft, the hazardous 2nd gen, they've always been really stout profiles. And they list them on here. I think it's almost like a badge of honor. So 60 grams, 6.0 is the flex, 3.2 is the torque, twist in the shaft. 2 is really low torque. 5 is kind of high, so 3 is, call it middle, but more like mid torque. But you'll feel it in this shaft that it doesn't load and unload nearly as easy as something like this that just has a little lighter weight and a little bit more flexible point.
And as far as like what you mean by loading, is that just mean those like the whippiness of it needs to just kind of like hit through?
Yeah. So some players really load heavy, a lot of hinge. Some players load slow, so we want a shaft that kind of matches that performance as well. Ooh, that's a good one.
Impression. What do you think now?
I like it. It feels so good off the face. It feels good, and I think obviously because I'm probably hitting it more middle now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I like how it's launching off.
I'm going to say one more thing about your setup. Because I think it'll help. So when you get it over your next one, I'll show you kind of what I mean. I'll use this platform here for a second. So your setup when you're at address,
Yeah.
you really start in a tilt,
Yeah.
right? It looks like you are trying to hit up at it. If I start in a really aggressive tilt, go at the top of my backswing and then I push as hard as I can, it pushes me away from the golf ball.
Yeah.
What's happening right now is you get into your tilt and behind, and then you start to push, but it pushes you this way. Then by the time you get to the golf ball, the club can't reach the ball and it's really going up. So what I'm going to tell you is start a little bit more neutral. If you want to create tilt, we create it at the moment of impact rather than from the start so much.
Okay.
So if you're in too much of a tilt at the beginning, it's just hard to maintain. You'll push yourself off of that. It's all right. New swing idea. Hey, look. We hit it above the equator.
Yeah.
Terrible drive, but mission accomplished as far as like getting the golf ball a little bit more up and a little less attack angle. Okay, so now, because of that, we have to go back to the shaft, because that one's a beast to try to elevate.
So even when I hit this one in the middle, I'm not getting like optimal numbers.
The face, but it dove into the ground. So
Yeah.
you have to probably go a little bit deeper into what's happening. Club path was 5 degrees to the right. We didn't have a read on our face angle because the face angle was probably so close. The swing direction was really out to the right as well. So the club was really swinging out and away and then probably closing really quick as it went through dynamically.
Okay.
Put a lot of side spin on the golf ball. It was hit great, but the face was really shutting on top of it.
Okay.
So almost feel like slice pattern.
Okay.
Almost aim a little left and feel like you can kind of like almost leave the face open rather than closing it on it. Yeah, good job there. So numbers a little bit smaller, face is open, and then you got a golf ball that can kind of stay out there. It's just height. You need that number to be 100.
But I mean, if I was out in the course and it's still going relatively straight,
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
We're just literally trying to get you to launch the ball a little higher.
Yeah.
Kind of lift this thing up a bit more. 104, 151, just low on the face.
Yeah.
So your longest drive literally is the highest hit.
Yeah.
But not high because it was spinning off the bottom of the face, because you put that underneath the golf ball and lifted it up into flight. Again, we'll go back and just look at that body and go, okay, this guy's fairly consistent. He's only missing heel to toe by 1 millimeter. So you're really, the bulk of your work is here, right up and down this line. But you're missing on average 12 millimeters low of center. It's like 2 grooves.
Yeah.
And that's why the ball is just not climbing.
Yeah.
More fade, lower or higher ball flight, but also lie angle. So if I flatten your lie angle for a guy who's living low on the toe, so if I take your current lie angle and I go like this with it and make it flatter, it brings the center down. So for a guy who's hit a lot of shots here, I literally just moved the driver down like this.
Yeah.
So I moved that spot up. You didn't really have to do anything different. I just placed that driver into that location right there. So I gave you less loft and a little less height out of that arrangement in C1. And right away we start to get more height, really because I just need you to get the equator under the golf ball, get the mass under the golf ball. So we drop that lie angle and I think we're achieving moving that in there. Okay, big toe strike, but I've got major toe weight loaded in that one, like all the way to the toe, and C1 position. So even though you mishit that like crazy, it didn't hook nearly as much as it should have, and it still kind of got up in the air a little bit. Are you fitting this guy for this swing?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Or like I kind of have to.
Yeah.
I kind of have to put you in a position where I can get that to happen.
Yeah.
By dropping the toe, by putting weight in the toe. That might not always be you.
Yeah.
And you might evolve a little bit. And you might go, okay, now I'm slicing and it's going really high.
Yeah.
But we're in the farthest position, both in weighting and lie angle and loft, to give you the best chance for that to happen. So I would imagine somewhere along the way, you're going to change and evolve, especially on as you're going to golf.
And if I go with there's more adjustability for future proofing later on, right?
Because the head styles are so close,
Yeah.
you don't struggle necessarily with trying to add or alleviate spin. It's more just like, if you can hit the center, you're gonna get your height up.
Yeah.
And we're really kind of comfortable to say like, okay, which head gives us the best options for a guy to do exactly what you're doing, which is kind of evolve.
Yeah.
Get confident in where you're hitting it on the head, and then we probably return to a little bit more neutral arrangement, and then you have
Yeah.
ability to kind of move the ball both ways. Sorry, I'm gonna switch you up pretty quick here.
Yeah.
That was different. Okay, so maybe too good a job. Look where we're hitting the golf ball now. Like totally opposite.
Yeah.
We moved, because we've done everything. We moved the golf ball from like being there, and now it's starting to go like that way.
Yeah.
So we might want to steal back a little bit of what this arrangement is. Because I think now we're getting the slice that we want. We're getting it above the equator or on the equator. So what I might need is just a little less of that weighting in the head. I like where we started to centralize this C1 position with a 9-degree head that gets us to like 8.25 degrees of loft. You swing up at it, 160 gram, one's 55 gram.
Yeah.
They're both stiff. One's a blue rated Tensi, one is this new Denali. You hit them both really, really nicely. Yeah. Can I see spec on here? Make sure I'm doing it right. That head was C1. So that's 10 degree, that's better, okay. That's why you hit that one better.
This one?
So that's 10 degree in C1, so it's like 9.25. So it is giving you help and loft, but it's also, because of that arrangement, kind of giving you the best of everything. Yeah. Yeah. Good. A little low on the face, and we're still at 152 ball speed. That's your winner.
Yeah.
So it took us a little while to get there to kind of figure out where we had to move that head to.
Yeah.
Initially, it looked like you needed more loft because the ball wasn't going high, but we figured out that it was just hitting low on the face. So it took the loft away to get you to hit it more center. We did that, but it was hooking.
Yeah.
So I opened the face up a little bit, moved it into a position. Then we kind of stole back a little bit of that internal weight, and we've narrowed it down to a mid-flight 55 gram stiff shaft. In this profile, there's probably 2 or 3 shafts. This is the one you perform the best with. I bounce around most of them.
If I'm, because obviously if I keep seeing a pattern out to
Yeah.
the right, like
Yeah.
it'll push out to the right there,
Yeah.
and if I try to close the face more, is that going to alter too much of that?
Not necessarily. If you're happy with where you're hitting it on the face, but you're just seeing a little bit of a bleed on it.
Yeah.
Part of it is I've got you in that position again.
Yeah.
I've got you here, right? I've got you in this spot right here, C1 in this one, I think, right?
Yeah.
So I've got you all the way most fade and less loft. So the face is like that.
Yeah.
So every time you hit the golf ball, it's more like that. But that's to counteract what you're doing before.
Yeah.
So you've got room. A1 is standard. You've got a box to go over that just keeps the loft off, and you got a box to go up that just adds a little bit of loft to it, but keeps it kind of flat. So you've got a little room that you'd maneuver from like A1 to B1 to C1 to D1. It would probably be your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be many reasons why you would add loft or go higher. So the rest of this grid probably doesn't make sense for the way you're swinging right now.
Yeah.
But you could tinker in here.
Yeah.
And you could tinker a little bit here, right? I've still got toe weight. I can move this to center, and then we take a bit of the fade off. I want draw. I want a hook.
Yeah.
So you've got some options here, and you've got a little bit in there.
Okay.
And you can feel comfortable to kind of move it around in that space, and obviously play around with this. And it's a new tool. So you get a new driver. It's like, I want to tinker with it. If that's my best spot, that's great. But if I can move it there and I take a little bit of the fade off, awesome.
And because you still have the lie adjustment, that's the one that...
That's the big one to get you the center strikes.
The other one is just more adjusting the
To
trajectory.
offset the pattern of like a quick hook.
Yeah.
Right? To take away that miss. When you, like, to your point, you said at the beginning, hey, if I like white one and it's a bit more of a fade,
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. At least it
Yeah.
stays in the air and it goes.
Yeah.
If I'm smother hooking this thing, it's touching the ground 100 yards from me, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
So we put you in a pattern that's kind of true to like tour pattern, where they're happy to wipe a high one because it
Yeah.
still covers, versus anything that's just going to like smother and hook and they have to sort of counteract that and fight it.
Yeah.
Cool?
Yeah. Makes sense.
I'm happy with that setup, so I'm gonna I'll pump it in,
Yeah.
GT3 the way that we had it, in 10 degree standard.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and learned a lot I know I sure did in this fitting. To make a long story short, you really just have to hit the center of the face and you'll be getting a lot better results. And for me to do that, because I had a lot of low toe misses, we had to decrease the loft and also flatten the lie angle. And because my miss was a hook, we altered the face angle to have a more fade biased, and this would counteract some of that hook. So now I have a more predictable miss. And because this GT3 has adjustable weight, it can move with my swing and evolve as I do progress because, as mentioned, I am on this goal of trying to get to scratch, so my swing is constantly going to be evolving. And I think it's important to get a driver that can work with you, not against you. So overall, I'm very happy with this driver. All of my numbers have increased, and even on miss hits, I'm getting some good ball speed numbers, so I can't complain about that. So I'm so happy with this driver. Overall, all of my numbers have increased, and even on miss hits, I'm getting a lot better results. And I think that's just obviously with the improvement of technology over the years, but I can't recommend enough. Go and get fit for a driver, and whether it is Titleist, TaylorMade, Callaway, whatever, just make sure you get a good fitter and get them to dial in that driver for you. Anyways though, if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe if you aren't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope to see you guys on this journey with me. Hope you have a good day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.